Good morning, class 7. So, we shall begin our session from where we had stopped last. All right, that is drafting of the constitution. Now, in the live classes this morning, you all answered to my question, what is a draft? And you said that a draft is a rough work, isn't it? Yes, a draft is a rough work. So, drafting of the constitution means making a rough sketch, all right, or a rough work of the constitution, not a fully finalized one, but a rough one. So, now, drafting committee, all right, drafting committee is one of the organ or one of the part of the Constituent Assembly. Now, just like we have, different body parts, all right, for example, we have the lungs, we have the kidney, we have the heart. All of these organ or parts of the body, they, function differently, all right, and they help in the maintenance of our body system. In the same manner, the Constituent Assembly also had different, segments or different departments, all right, and one such department or part was your drafting committee, and the chairman of the drafting committee was your Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. Very important. Now, the main duty of the drafting committee was to make a rough document of the constitution. In order to make a rough statement of the constitution, the members of the drafting committee studied the constitution of different countries like USA, France, etc. So before the members of the drafting committee, they started writing the draft, all right, or draft of the constitution. What did they do? They read or they studied the different constitutions of the nations, all right, for example France, and then you have USA. They studied it properly, and then they borrowed the good features or the good points from those countries, all right, or from the constitution of those countries, and included in the constitution of India. Now, after a rough draft was made by the drafting committee, it was published in the newspapers. So, this draft, whatever the drafting committee had made, all right, this was published in the newspaper so that everybody, all the educated Indians of India, could at least know, what was being included in the constitution, and if they had any opinion or if they had any review about it, it could be changed. For example, if some laws they wanted it to be removed, if they wanted to include certain laws, then it could be done, it could be amended or changed. For this reason, it was published in all the leading newspapers. Fine. Now, the draft of the constitution was discussed properly and in detail by all the leaders. So, whatever draft was made by the drafting committee, it was discussed in detail by all the leaders, which was attended by the press. And press here we mean the mass media or the news channel. All right. So, this draft, the constitution, the rough work, the rough constitution which was made, it was discussed by the various leaders. Not only that, but it was also attended by the press. Moving on to the next subtopic, adoption of the constitution. Now, today also in the live class, I told your friends that the adoption of the under adoption of the constitution, you just need to remember certain things. First of all, you need to know when it was adopted and enacted. Now, the simple meaning of adopted is when it was approved, and it was approved on 26th of November 1949. And when was it enacted? Enacted meaning when did it come into effect? When did it come into action? All right. When did it started? When did it start being used? So this was on the 26th of January 1950. So these are the two most important things that you need to remember from this. Another thing that you need to remember under this is that it took almost 3 years for the constitution framers to make the constitution for India. So it was not a joke, all right? Making a constitution was not a joke and not a simple thing. All right. It took so many years, almost 3 years for these constitution framers to frame the constitution for India. Another one that you have to know is the first Governor General of India was Rajasi Gopalachari. All right. And the next thing that you need to remember under this subtopic is that the first president of India was Dr. Rajendra Prasad. Now, moving on to the preamble. Now, in simple words, preamble is nothing but it is an introduction to the Constitution. Now, if you just take your history textbook and if you open up to the page of contents, you will see, what are the chapters that is there in your history textbook, isn't it? In the same manner, the preamble is also the same. All right. The preamble lets you visit or lets you see, what are the things, what are the contents of the Constitution. Did you understand? Yes or no? So, in simple language, the preamble is an introduction to the Constitution. Now, let us read the Constitution. We, the people of India, having solemnly resolved to constitute India into a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic, and to secure to all its citizens justice, social, economic, and political liberty of thought, expression, belief, faith, and worship, equality of status and of opportunity, and to promote among them fraternity, and to promote among them all fraternity, assuring the dignity of the individual and the unity and integrity of the nation. In our Constituent Assembly, this 26th day of November 1949, do hereby adopt, enact, and give to ourselves this Constitution. So now from here we see that the first line of the preamble is we the people, which means the citizens of India. We the people means what? The citizens of India. And the last line, give to ourselves this constitution, clearly shows that the power is in the hands of the people. So give to ourselves this constitution means that the power is in the hands of the people. How is the power in the hands of the people? Because the citizens vote to the party whom they want to form the government. All right, they'll be voting for those leaders or for those political parties whom they want to see as the government. All right. So people elect the government through the process of elections. Hence, India is a democratic country. Now, this democratic country is a new term to, some of you, all right? So, what is democratic? A democratic country simply means where the power lies in the hands of the people as they elect the government by voting. So, they exercise the power of voting, and whichever government they want to come into power, they vote for that government. Got that? Now, the preamble, therefore, is very important and has been called the most precious, the soul or jewel, and the key to the Constitution. So, for this reason, all right, the preamble is very important, and that is why it has been called the jewel, the soul, the precious part, and a key to the Constitution. Now we move on to the next subtopic, that is nature of the state. All right. Now these terms, that is sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic, republic, I think, from your friends, I got to know that you all have done it in class 5. But still doesn't matter. Let's recall whatever we've done in the earlier classes. All right. So, sovereign basically means that India is free from any foreign rule. Okay, it is no more under the British rule. It is free and it is a master of its own. Nobody can order or command India. No country can interfere in its matter. So that is the meaning of sovereign. Now, socialist meaning the second one, it tries to establish a society where there is equality. In plain language, it means to lower the difference between the rich and the poor. So, what is socialist? It tries to lower the difference between the rich and the poor and to bring about equality, and it also tries to improve the standard of the poor section. Okay. Then we drop down to the next term, that is secular. Secular is very easy. It means that anybody is free to uh, propagate or practice any religion that they want. Nobody or no power will force you to follow a religion which you are unwilling to follow. All right, so secular means free to follow any religion of your choice. Got that? Now the second last term is democratic. We have already discussed what democratic is. It simply states that the power lies in the hands of the people. And how do they exercise their power? By voting during elections. Okay. And the last one is republic. Republic, which states that there is no monarch. Now, what is the meaning of monarch? Monarch means king or queen. So, is India ruled by a king or a queen? No. So, it is a republic. It is not a monarchy system. All right. Now, the head of the country is the president, and the president is elected. He, stays in the office for how many years? For 5 years. The post is not hereditary. The post is not hereditary here means that earlier, when India was ruled by the kings, what used to happen? The king, after his death, who would take over the throne? The son would take over the throne, isn't it? But here it's not like that. After the president, after the term of the president, after he retires, what is going to happen? His son will not take over the post. All right, it will be taken up by somebody else. But no doubt, if the son, fulfills the criteria, or if he is eligible enough, then he can take the post of the president. All right. So it is not, the post is not hereditary, means the son is not, the son does not automatically take the post after the president retires or after he dies. Is that understood? So these were the topics that we covered today, all right, from the from this chapter, the Constitution. And the subtopics that we covered today are drafting of the Constitution, the adoption of our Constitution, then we have the preamble, and the nature of the state. So these were the topics that we covered today. And I have already given you work. All right, please do that. The exercises from the book, that is ABCD, is to be done in the book itself, and the questions that I've given you, please do it in your copy, and do not maintain another copy for civics. You can use the same copy. So we keep it till here. Thank you, class 7.